Well, hello, Claire and everyone
Hello.
else.
Well, hi there, Rekkr. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, actually.
Are you relieved you don't have to do the show solo?
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't think people were ready for that.
oh, they would be. They love you. Yes, sure. Like it would be entertaining, you know. So I think the weather gods though they've had a little mercy on us. Like although you may hear some thunder in the background, people, because the storms are picking up again. But I think we're through the worst of it. Like, good to see everybody in chat. Thank you for joining us. Hey, student. Long time, dude. I'm glad to see you. I hope you're doing well. Mm. Hey, Charlotte,
Hmm.
Amanda, Grace, of course. Thank you so much. Grace was like first in chat, ready to hold down the fort. Yeah. I was like, well, we got a good one today. Like
Yes,
this,
we do.
this one, this law is something I've been working on for a couple of years now, and it's really helped me out a lot.
Hmm.
So when I did the title on there, did you see it? You didn't even. I didn't even discuss it with you when I made the title for it, but it was like irrelevant is a strategy. It is a very good
Hmm.
one. Like
That it is.
it is, and
One of the best strategies, actually.
it goes along with the philosophy of allowing what you'll allow in your life, what you allow to take up your time, and where you put your resources, you know, guarding your own mental health, guarding your own goals, the what do they say? Like the take care of you first thing,
Yes.
which is very important, So it goes along with all of that I'm always talking about. in platforming, so to speak. But,
Hmm. I always like to say, if you can't look after yourself, then how are you meant to look after anyone else? Right?
uh, this is true. Like, if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. Like, what good would you be? Hello,
Hmm.
Jin. Aw, he calling me the cutest order bear. Thanks, Jin. It's a very gropable chat. It is a very gropable chat. I'm glad to see you here. Well, uh, just giving everybody a few minutes to roll in. I'm
Hmm.
also very excited. Just, I got to tell you, I am just like over the moon that we get to do
Hmm.
another library chat next week. Earlier in
Yes,
the
we
day.
do.
Yes, it's going to be earlier in the day. Our friend Charlie Dave is going to join us to talk about the philosophical end of power, and
Yes.
something that I like to delve in every once in a while. I did love hanging out over there at Answers and Reasons with Dave and Joe and Phil and Luke, and it's been a long time. Like, I haven't done a one besides the stream with you, which is part of the library chat, series, but its own series inside the series, so to speak.
Hmm.
Um, because it's a single topic, discussion. Although it's 48 chapters worth. Thank you very much, Rekkr. Like,
Hmm.
I usually do one-offs, like a single topic with a guest or a couple of guests, in library chats, and it's like a homey all-around discussion. I haven't done one since last November. I think the last one I did was with Maute, I think, and it was when he was gonna bring out his scientific racism series that he's doing on his channel on the Otherhood, and
Yes.
we were talking about that. That's the last one I did, and that was quite a while ago. More, maybe not even November, maybe earlier than that, because it's coming up as a year. So like it was pretty, like it was like fall, I think. But I love those things. I love those conversations. And we haven't done anything earlier in the day for quite a while. Uh, Charlie Dave's in UK, so
Hmm.
it's easier for him if we go earlier. For you, though, you're going to be joining us. Bless you.
Yes, I will be.
Bless you. You're going to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to join us. Like,
That I do.
you must love to talk about power. Power's your thing, dude.
Absolutely. I love me some power.
I would say so. Your commitment to this series has been outstanding. Like, you're the motivation behind it. Like, if it was just up to me, like, I don't know if I'd go like a year or so on the same topic, but it's been quite interesting, and I have found it rewarding. I do get a headache occasionally, and I let you know about it, but I do
Yes.
appreciate the challenge. I really do. I think it has expanded how I look at certain things a little bit, and I always like that. I,
Well,
you know,
it's a thought-provoking book, and
and
that's what good books are. Thought-provoking.
exactly, and it's a topic that it's ever growing and changing too. Like, there's never
Hmm.
enough you can know about it. And I like the aspect that we're taking on it. Is changing it from power in gain in business and success, or conquering the world, to personal power, which is something that I strive to protect and to platform with others on how to
Exactly.
protect it and how to strengthen it. Being your own best advocate for your needs and for what makes you feel safe in how you proceed in the world, like being responsible for ourselves in a way, taking our own accountability. Like,
Maintaining
hey,
personal accountability.
that's the best way to increase your personal power. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Hey, hey, boo, Mrs. C, how you doing? I have survived the tornado watch, the high winds, and the thunder. So far, so far, so good. You know.
Yes. We haven't seen your avatar get blown away yet.
Not yet. Not yet. No, no, not gonna yet. I just don't like. I don't like windstorms like at all. In the last
Yes.
one kept. I mean, was it last weekend or the weekend before that I lost power like 3 days in a row? Like there were
Uh,
all
I
that rain and wind
think it
like every
was the
day.
week before, maybe.
Yeah, I lost power like every day.
Yep.
I
That
I I
and for
am what? Go ahead.
long periods of time.
Yes, like a very long period of time. And then they remember that one message they sent me, like, yeah, we'll update you tomorrow afternoon. Like it was like 2 a.m. in the morning, and they were like, yeah, we'll let you know around 6 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, like in the
Wasn't?
evening, where we are. And I already had my power back and everything. I'm like, what the hell is
Yeah,
wrong with
yeah.
you people? Like, what do you mean? Yeah.
Well, there was the one where it said like, "Oh yeah, we're aiming to have the power up by Wednesday," and it was like,
Oh, yeah,
was it
that one.
Sunday?
Yeah, that scared me a little bit. Like I was like, that just showed me how connected I am to the internet. Like the thought of being without internet for like 4 days, it gave me tremors. Like it did. Like, yeah, like, it gave me tremors. Mm. Thank you, Mrs. C, for posting the link. That is the link to next Wednesday's stream with Dave and Rekkr, and we're going to call it the philosophy of power. Another library chat.
Yes.
Yes, we've got Heat Island. Yes, we do. Deep State. We've had terrible and actually severe, like thunder, tornado watch of the whole state, which is unusual. We don't get that like here very often. Um, but they are fast moving, the thunderstorms, so hopefully it's not going to take us down. But on that, what do you say I bring up our first, like, we should get started on this.
Let's get this party started.
Yep. And yes, Grace, we've got flash flood warnings here too. Like we've had a lot of rain in the last, I'd say, 30 days, and we are flooding everywhere. When I lost power, there was actually flooding on the highways. Cars were actually stranded. The water was up past the door, and people were having to roll down the windows and climb out into the water to get out, and they were being rescued. By the shore, like the water was everywhere. Between Asbury Park and Ocean Grove, the lake came up on both sides and just flooded all the way inland, like several streets over. It was ridiculous. It was like it just
Jesus.
it was absolutely ridiculous. And that's where my first house was, in Ocean Grove, and it
That's
was
right. You showed me the pictures.
yeah, and the water actually went 2 streets over past where my mom's house was, where I used to live. So
Yep.
everything, and those are all ground houses because it's the beach, it's the shore town. And yeah, it was a mess. It was
People love
absolutely a
to pay
mess.
heaps of money to get waterlogged.
Yep, yep. Unfortunately, it's true. Well, so
Okay.
Rob, so Robert Greene, it did us a solid with giving me a chapter I can really get down with. So this one is disdain things you cannot have, and ignoring them is the best revenge.
Yes,
All
it
right.
is.
So you want to read the judgment?
Yep. And the judgment is, by acknowledging a petty problem, you give it existence and credibility. The more attention you pay an enemy, the stronger you make him. And a small mistake is often made worse and more visible when you try to fix it. It is sometimes best to leave things alone. If there is something you want but cannot have, show contempt for it. The less the less interest you reveal, the more superior you seem.
Mm-hmm. That's like, even if you want it really, really bad, if it looks like you're not going to get it, just act like you don't want it. You know, it. this is the old adage that they say about like in romance and everything. Act like you don't care and they'll want you. Like, right?
You know what?
Which is all game playing, which I'm not really for, but it's kind of
No.
true. Most people,
Yes.
once you get something, like you get bored with it. You don't want it anymore. Most people love the challenge of the chase, the acquiring, the more you think you can't achieve something, the more you like go for it. The challenge, like it keeps us interested and challenged, and having to think. You know, so I kind of, I kind of,
Exactly.
I kind of get part of it. But I don't know. I don't know. But this is one of my favorite chapters so far because like I talk about anybody who talks to me personally, besides out here on YouTube. Like if you talk to me in Discord or on X, or you have my phone number, if you are one of the lucky few that contact me personally, then you know that I platform this law in my everyday life, like consistently. I think you could back me up on that record. Like this is something
Absolutely.
that I apply as often and as liberally as I can because it actually works. As soon as like some of you know that I've been through some crap on like anybody who's got a YouTube channel or comes out on social media this way, if you're gonna start talking about subjects or you're gonna piss some people off. Like not everybody's gonna like you, you know. There's that other adage, that old adage that they say, like you haven't really made it until you got a hater group. Well, I can
Yes.
actually confess that I have my own personal hater group. And it's not a little one. It's pretty freaking big. Okay, but, and it's
Uh,
diver- and it's diversified. Apparently, I have pissed enough people off in different areas of YouTube. Um, that it is a diversified group, and I don't mind anymore. It used to really get to me, as some of you may know. It used to really, really bother me, but it really doesn't anymore. Like they can say whatever they want. It's none of my business how they feel about me anymore. Like, why should I care? They're not in my personal life. They don't want anything to do with me. Like, I don't even know why they care so much what I do. It's not like,
I I have
but
no clue either. I
yeah.
the ones that I've seen are just, you know, I, I swear they fight over a single brain cell that's fighting for like fourth place.
Yeah. It's like they got stuck on this thing. I don't even know what, like whatever it is. But just the mere mention of my name can start conversations everywhere that are just very volatile. I just at this point it's amusing, but I do want to
Mm-hmm.
thank them because they've actually proved that this law works because by them coming at me so much, they made more and more people curious about me. They made some very loyal followers of me who found out that whatever they were saying wasn't true. They bothered to come and find out for themselves if I was anything like they said. And they actually built my credibility and my reputation by their own actions and words. And I didn't do a thing. And I made them irrelevant. I was like, I didn't answer them. I didn't deal with them. I don't I could care less. Like the only
Mm-hmm.
time I get involved if they invade privacy, if there's any threat to my family or privacy in any manner. Hey, listen, I tell you straight out. You want to go and violate my privacy? I got no problem striking you. Okay. You want to try to dig in and post like pictures that I haven't put out anywhere on YouTube, I will use terms of service against your ass. You're not going to violate me in me not stick up for myself. I'm not a carpet. Okay. But I don't actually give a F about your opinion of me, to tell you the
Mm-hmm.
truth, because I know I'm not doing any harm. I'm pretty confident that I'm doing more good than harm to anybody. If people get upset about something, it's usually their own personal feelings about something. It's not like I'm coming out here attacking people, tearing people down, putting out contrary opinions that are just detrimental to people's mental health or anything like that. That's not
No,
me.
that's my job.
Yeah, that's your job. Like I ain't doing that stuff, you know. And I don't think many people are. They a lot of this stuff out here, kind of, you got to get used to it on YouTube. I think it's rare the people that don't have to deal with it. Um, and some people that we know have dealt with it on a personal level that is just beyond. I mean, creator to creator, if another channel comes at you, like that's all fair game. But creators and people with platforms that go after subscribers or followers or listeners or just everyday people, like that's just abusive. That's just simply abusive.
It's weak.
It's
It
cowardly.
is. It is weak.
Well, all I can say, when I first came out here, I had a phrase that used to get me into trouble all the time. And
Oh,
I was like, just carry on. I mean, thank you for showing me your ugly ass. Like, now I know. Now I know. And that's what they do. They just come out and they show you they're ugly. So now you know. And that's what this law does. You don't have to respond. You do not have to engage. Let them show everybody who they are. Like, you don't have to do
yep.
a thing. You know, you don't have to do a thing. Because
And
wrong is wrong, like from the get go, and eventually there's no way to hide it. Like,
yes, and the really funny thing is, the more frustrated these kinds of people get, the more unhinged they tend to be, in the most ridiculous ways, in some of the most ridiculous ways.
you know what? It can be entertaining as long as it's not like affecting you personally. But that's what this
Who
chapter is
doesn't like
about.
to watch a bonfire?
Exactly. We all like to watch like yeah, rubbernecking and all of that stuff. Like, I get that. Well, here's the part that is important about this chapter is how we let it affect us. Like, we are the only thing we're in control about a situation like that, because there's going to be people like this in your life, no matter
Absolutely.
what, at work, in your some of us have it in our families, some of us in friendships, our personal relationships, work environment, out here in the internet, on YouTube, whatever. You're going to run into people like this, and you're going to run into situations like this. But the only thing that you have control of is you. How much you let
Yes.
it bother you, how you respond, what you decide is important and not. And that is an individual thing. That's going to be different for everybody. Okay. Some people are going to go hell no and go like right at them. And if you do, you're going to get involved in a back and forth that you have no control over. You are now giving them power over your time, your feelings, how you respond, when you like, you are actually giving it to them. And the one thing that you're giving to them that they crave more than anything, the reason they're doing this, and this goes for all of them, good or bad, is attention. The attention.
Exactly.
These kinds of interactions, this kind of freaking shit is all fueled by the attention of others, by your attention. Like, they want to insert themselves in your life. The one thing they can't do is do that without your permission. And I'm
Yep.
proof of it. You can shut that door. Leave them out in the cold. Let them do what they're going to do. You can't control that. But you can control your responses and how much you let it in and affect you, you know? And that's a choice you can make, whatever it is. If you want to respond, fine. But what you need to do is take the time on how you're going to respond, what you're going to
Mm-hmm.
respond to, draw your binds, know where your boundaries are. And also, hopefully, like I did, because I went through this for quite a while and it was affecting me horribly. Some of you that were my mods at the time know that, like, I was having a hard time streaming. It was affecting me terribly. It was like causing issues. And as much as I pay attention to this kind of stuff, I had lost sight of how much I was letting it affect me. I had lost sight of how much I could actually control the situation. And you need somebody, hopefully, you'll have somebody in your life to wake you up and just say, you don't have to do that. Like, well, why are you responding? Or why do you care? Like, who are they in your life? Like, I think it was you, Rekkr. It was you, Rekkr, who's like, who are they to you?
Yes, yes. I believe I was the one that was like, Claire, wake up.
Like, who are they to you? Like, do you actually want them to like you? You want horrible, despicable people to actually think you're okay? Like, that don't say nothing good about you. Like, really? I'm like, you're right. Like, why should I care? Like, you don't want to be a yes person. You want to make everybody happy. Everybody has a little bit of that in them, but you don't want to do it to the detriment of yourself. And that's what this chapter is all about. Everybody finds their personal balance, but you do have the power to control it, to how much of it you let in. I mean, bad stuff's going to happen. It always does. This is how the world is. We're facing bad stuff all the time, on a personal level, on a social level, on a freaking worldwide level. Bad stuff happens. The only thing we can control is ourselves, in how much it affects us, and if we decide to do something about it or not. You know.
And the great thing about this is that it's a way of taking back your own autonomy in a situation, your own personal autonomy, in the sense that, like, you, in a way, even if let's say someone's harassing you in a way,
Mm-hmm.
well, by deciding that you're going to either give it attention or take away the attention, it kind of puts the onus of the situation on you. In a sense, like I do with a lot of situations, I will say, okay, how is it my fault and how can I change it? And it's just my way of taking back my own autonomy. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
if someone was coming at me for some apparent reason, I'd be like, okay. So let's say, I don't know, I pulled out a giant sword live on stream and accidentally put it through my bed, and then people are clowning on me for it. Well,
That's actually pretty funny. Like, I
yeah, I
don't.
would laugh too,
Um,
actually.
I don't. I can. I don't see why you'd be too upset about that. You would be like, you.
No, actually, that was a terrible example. Um,
I don't know. Why don't you use like an offhanded comment that came off
oh
different
yeah,
than you thought? Yeah.
I make a really dumb offhanded comment that I I I sometimes say, and then people take it completely out of context. Well, I can just go, hmm, what part of it is my fault? Well, I made the offhanded comment, and what am I going to do about it? Well, I mean, these people are going to clown me no matter what, so okay,
Yeah.
so be it.
They, right. So, like, if it was something that people like misunderstood, that might be kind of harmful, try to straighten it out simply, not like overly aggressive or anything. But those that know you will know, like, you didn't mean anything, or like, you know what I mean. It's just like,
Yeah,
it's hard.
don't
It, there's the
don't
old
always say
adage
stuff
that
for the sound clip and
exactly yeah. But there's the other saying that, like, the world is always trying to cancel somebody, right? But no one
yep,
can get canceled unless they cancel themselves. It's how you approach the whole situation on whether you actually get
exactly.
canceled or not. I've seen some people do some pretty horrible stuff, and they're still here. I've seen other people do something very minor and disappear. like as if they never existed because of
Yep.
how they handled the situation or whatever. So, like, it's all about just like you got to take a moment. The first thing, all of the laws, almost all the laws, will tell you just don't emotionally react right away. Like that's a hard part. Like that's a very, very hard part,
Yeah.
the emotional reaction, because this is personal. People, I mean, especially out here, I've seen people get doxxed, harassed. I've heard threats of violence. I've heard people absolutely enjoy the fact of bringing somebody down into the terrible lows of a mental health issue. Like I've seen some pretty horrible stuff. Um, in it is personal, so it's hard not to react emotionally when you're getting attacked. It's
Hmm.
directed at you on a personal level, and it's with maliciousness. Like it's not like accidental. It is a purposeful malicious attack, and it is very, very hard not to react emotionally at first, which is why you have to take a moment. Which is why
Yes.
the first thing you should do is nothing in all cases. I don't care what it is. The very first thing you should do is nothing.
And at
Zip
the
it,
most, just take a
close it,
breath.
take a breath, take a moment, okay? Because anything you do in that emotional reaction part is going to make the situation worse. Not for them, for you.
Hmm.
For you. Because the first thing you want to do is protect yourself, you know? So by not engaging, you remove yourself from the situation.
An
It's not
easy
going to
way, uh,
go ahead.
an easy way of looking at it is think about it like you're buying a big ticket item. Are you going to really go to the first, like, let's say a car dealer? Are you really going to go to the first car dealer and they offer you some, I don't know, blinged out sedan when all you need is like a driving to work and back kind of car?
Right. Like, don't take the first deal. Like always,
Yeah.
see what else is out there. Um, yeah. Just need to think about it. For
Take
everybody, it's going to be individual. There's no perfect answer to how to respond to any of this, except for the acknowledgement of your own accountability on taking responsibility for some of how it affects you. Like if you we have to realize we have power over that we have control over that even though somebody is intentionally trying to do something to you in a malicious way, we still, as individuals, have control over how it affects us in some way and how much we're going to
yes.
let it. Yes, it's going to hurt. Yes, it's a pain in the ass. Yes, it's wrong. Yes, it's not right. And is it fair that it falls on us to do that? No. But thank God we do. You know, it's a good thing that we do have our own personal power to protect us in these situations. That we can take a step back and decide that these people are not worth it. This situation is not worth it. This, whatever it is, whether it be a personal attack or just a situation with a group or even like in 2026, the state of the political environment in the United States, sometimes you got to take a step back and say,
Yeah.
this is the thing, I'm not losing everything because of this bullshit. Like, that's a good phrase that we should keep in the back of our head. Like, yo, hold on here. I'm not going to lose everything over this. Like, over this? Really?
Yep.
No. There's got to be more to our life than that. Yeah. Mm.
Sometimes it really is the better option to just say, you know what? I don't care.
Mm-hmm. This it's right. I say it all the time. Although I'm a very
Hmm.
caring person, but when it comes to things that I know are bad for me, or I know people are trying to make bad for me, I have a very strong I don't give a f attitude about it, and I stand on it.
I'm
I stand on it.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm very much the same. I do if I care about something, I care about it incredibly deeply. So I know I've taught myself to be like I only have so much caring to put to move around without burning myself to the ground. So
Hmm.
I have to allocate whatever to whatever I can,
Right.
and the rest, I just have to say, you know what? I stubbed my toe, but at least I didn't lose a leg.
There you go. Then yeah, and it's not that we're trying to make light of these situations because they're horrible. They're
No,
absolutely
yeah,
horrible. And if anybody has been through all of that, I feel for you. I have been there to some degree. I know some people have even more horrible stories than I can even imagine going through myself. And I feel for you. Well, the purpose of a law like this is understanding that we have to take some personal responsibility for how much of that we let in. Like
mm-hmm,
where our boundaries are. Like for this, we have to protect ourselves. We have to. I always say to everybody, you're responsible for your mental health. You can't make the world responsible for it because they won't take care of you. You know who takes care of you? You. Take care of your mental
yep,
health. You go to a stream and they're talking about a subject that's really triggering you, leave. Take care of yourself.
yes,
Like you don't have to stay there. Okay? You, you got to protect yourself. We are our best advocates. If you're not your best advocate, don't expect anybody else to be one.
yep.
Like
Like for
you,
instance, if you jumped into a stream and the person live on the stream is like, I think razor wire is the best option, and you're someone who's all for barbed wire. I don't know why, but apparently you really feel that way. Leave the stream.
yeah.
I don't know why
I don't.
that came to mind, but it was just.
You're so weird, but I love you, but you're
I
weird. Like
mean,
I had
okay,
no idea why that would be the example, but
it's
okay.
what you see. There's an important difference between razor wire and barbed wire. One is great for shaving. The other is great
Wait a
for
minute.
poking holes and stuff.
Well, don't they both like if you tangle with them, cut you to shreds? Like, aren't they both
Razor wire
protective?
does a better job. I'm on team razor wire.
Barbed wire's the one that has like the knots of stuff
Yep,
in it, right?
yep.
Like
Barbed
that they
wire is the
use
one
in
that has the
cattle,
little
like they
knots.
use in
Yep,
cattle farming, like the fencing and
yep,
everything to keep. Okay, and then
yep.
razor wire is just the stuff that can cut off a limb if you run into it,
Razor
right?
wire is the stuff that'll like make you bleed from everywhere all at once. Just
Okay, all
un.
right, all right. I don't even know why that was the example. I don't know why you know so much about this. I don't want to know right now.
I live in New Zealand.
So,
Farming is like everywhere, so I know a lot about barbed wire.
Rekkr, they
And
know you live in Auckland. Like you're pretty far from a farm, actually.
I've lived in the country for a little while.
Okay,
I'm not
all right.
entirely city bound.
Oh, you're not a farm boy. Like you're the farthest thing from a farm boy
I
that
lived on a
I
farm
can
for a
see.
little while. Did
It
I
don't
not? Have I
make.
not told you this? I have lived on a farm.
Yeah, but you're no farm boy.
No, no. Right now, I'm definitely not a farm boy. Not at all.
All right,
No.
did you milk cow? Did you graze the sheep? Did you feed the chickens?
I've been chased by every single one of them.
Okay, that's different. Did you wear mucklucks? Did you carry a rake while you walked through the field? Like, did you?
I have carried a rake, and I have worn gumboots or
Is that like
gummies.
mucklucks? There's those, yeah, rubberized boots that go up past,
Welling
like, yeah,
wellies.
wellies,
Wellies.
really big wellies, like
Yes.
extended wellies. Yes. Okay. All right. Pseudo farm boy, then maybe. Okay.
Pseudo farm boy. Yes.
Yeah. All
Yes.
right. But anyway, but this law expands like past personal stuff, like personal attacks and stuff like that. It also talks about things that you can't have, and also mistakes that you might make, whether you address them in public relations and things like that. So it's pretty useful as far as giving yourself the power to pick and choose what you respond to and what you let in. And that's like the main focus of it, which is why I love this one like the best. But on that note, let's 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 carry on with how Robert Greene is going to give us examples of these, and watch Rekkr get really pissed off at the examples, because
Yeah.
fair warning, people, he hates them. He really does not like
Especially the
these
first
examples.
one.
He just can't. He's not actually appreciating Robert Greene for this chapter.
Robert Greene isn't appreciating me. I know he doesn't know me, but, he's
He
just
doesn't
not
appreciate you. Yeah.
Yep, no.
Well, at least he's not trying to give you a migraine like he does me on a regular basis. Like, I feel personally attacked.
That is a fair point.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the transgression of the law. In the Mexican rebel lead... I'm off to a great start. The Mexican rebel leader, Pancho Villa, started out as the chief of a gang of bandits, but after revolution broke out in Mexico in 1910, he became a kind of folk hero, robbing trains and giving the money to the poor, leading daring raids and charming the ladies with romantic escapades. His exploits fascinated Americans. He seemed a man from another era, part Robin Hood, part Don Juan. After a few years of bitter fighting, however, General Carranza, close enough, General Carranza emerged as the victor in the revolution. The defeated Villa and his troops went back home to the northern state of Chihuahua. His army dwindled and he turned to banditry again, damaging his popularity. Finally, perhaps out of desperation, he began to rail against the United States, the gringos, whom he blamed for his troubles. In March of 1916, Pancho Villa raided Columbus, New Mexico. Rampaging through the town, he and his gang killed 17 American soldiers and civilians. President Woodrow Wilson, like many Americans, had admired Villa. Now, however, the bandit needed to be punished. Wilson's advisors urged him to send troops into Mexico to capture Villa. For a power as large as the United States, they argued, not to strike back at an army that invaded its territory would send the worst kind of signal. Furthermore, they continued, many Americans saw Wilson as a pacifist, a principle the public doubted as a response to violence. He needed to prove his mettle and manliness by ordering the use of force. The pressure on Wilson was strong, and before the month was out, with the approval of the Carranza government, he sent an army of 10,000 soldiers to capture Pancho Villa. The venture was called the Punitive Expedition, and its leader was the dashing General John J. Pershing, who had defeated guerrillas in the Philippines and Native Americans in the American Southwest. Certainly, Pershing could find and overpower Pancho Villa. The Punitive Expedition became a sensational story. A carload of U.S. reporters followed Pershing into action. The campaign, they wrote, would be a test of American power. The soldiers carried the latest in weaponry, communicated by radio and were supported by reconnaissance from the air. In the first few months, the troops split up into small units to comb the wild of northern Mexico. The Americans offered a $50,000 reward in reward for information leading to Villa's capture, but the Mexican people, who had been disillusioned with Villa when he had returned to banditry, now idolized him for facing his mighty American army. For this mighty American army. They began to give Pershing false leads. Villa had been seen in this village or in that mountain highway. Airplanes would be dispatched, troops would scurry after them, and no one would ever see him. The wily bandit seemed to be always one step ahead of the American military. By the summer of that year, the expedition had swelled to 123,000 men. They suffered through stifling heat, the mosquitoes, the wild terrain, trudging over a countryside in which they were already resented. They infuriated both the local people and the Mexican government. At one point, Pancho Villa hid in a mountain cave to recover from a gunshot wound he received in a skirmish with the Mexican army. Looking down from the eyrie, he could watch Pershing lead the exhausted American troops back and forth across the mountains, never getting any closer to their goal. All the way into the winter, Villa played his cat-and-mouse game. Americans came to see the affair as a kind of slapstick farce. In fact, they began to admire Villa again, respecting his resourcefulness in eluding the superior force. In January of 1917, Wilson finally ordered Pershing's withdrawal. As the troops made their way back to American territory, rebel forces pursued them, forcing the U.S. Army to use airplanes to protect its rear flanks. The punitive expedition was being punished itself. It had turned into a retreat of the most humiliating sort.
See, this is... I know you hate this example.
It is the worst example in the entire... I've never heard... This example is horrible. It is genuinely, like...
I know.
It is so bad for this... It's just...
Okay, but tell me why. Why do you think it's so horrible? Because, like, of course, I think it's a perfect example of you got to measure your response to the actual threat. Like, because you're at risk of fueling the fire to the other side and giving them so much power, which is what happened here. The larger force of Wilson, who felt like, well, yeah, he had, like, I agree with you, American pressure. Like, you can't just let somebody come up and slap you in the face and not have a response. But what your response is important. Like, there was so many other ways, like, that this could have been done.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, there
Not
was.
at all. No, there wasn't. He did exactly what he had to do, because if he had tried to play diplomatically, he'd be considered weak. If he tried to play it off as like, oh, this was like insignificant to our grand nation, he'd be considered heartless and cold. If he did anything other than pursue Villa, he would have been seen as a absolute wet tea towel.
It needed to be addressed, but I don't agree that diplomatic strategies are weak. I actually think diplomatic strategies are smart as a first response to almost anything. Because I do agree with the fact that this... Do you remember we talked last week about another stream that was done about a book that was written on whether or not violence is
Yeah, last
power.
week's one. Yeah.
Right. Then that when you use violence, you actually give power to the other side. You actually it's less than
No.
power. You weaken your side. Yes, because it should be a last
No.
resort. Yes,
Mm.
might is not always. I know this is the typical man woman argument, isn't it, everybody? Like, we're just gonna let's just genderify the whole thing here. Because he's gonna say, nope, if you're the stronger one, stop it, beat that stuff down, let's get rid of it. And I'm like, yeah, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about
Here's
it
the thing.
first.
Here's the thing.
I'm not opposed to putting the hammer on you, but I want to talk about it first.
Hang on. I agree with you. Negotiations are the best option, and violence should always be the last option. However, violence was already picked. The last option was already there. It was already taken. So
And
you
I
must
think
react in kind.
Yes, you do. And we are the larger nation. We're talking about a Nat here and a B-52 bomber.
Yeah,
that is the
and he
difference
humiliated
between
the
Pancho
entire
Villa-
America.
Yes,
He humiliated all of America. The whole of America was made to look like clowns.
Exactly, because he used the B-52 bomber instead of a flight swatter. That's exactly my point. He over put our forces on a small, insignificant thing when he could have diplomatically tried to use the Mexican government in Carranza, like, to do things. We also could have went in there with intelligence. We could have went in there with intelligence and just assassinated him with a small amount of troops and did that. We've been doing that for centuries. Okay, there are abilities to do these things where it didn't have to be this over. Will you grant me this, that Wilson's felt pressed against the wall and he reacted emotionally to the pressure rather than thinking this through before he did it? Would you at least grant me that?
No.
Oh my God. No? Oh my, really?
Here's the thing. The whole idea of the small forces going in and attacking or doing these doing missions using small forces wasn't even thought of until World War II. It actually wasn't even thought of until close to the end of World War II.
How about reconnaissance of the terrain that you're going to actually be invading?
They already they already were doing that. They weren't
very prepared.
No, of course not. Of course they weren't. Because they went into a situation where they tried to go after someone who had ultimately the support of the people of the entire country around him. Even though they started off apparently not liking him at the start of it, which is when they should have just gone in and just blitzkrieged the entire place. But even then, blitzkriegs hadn't even been thought of then.
One thing that had been thought of, I will grant you that some of these strategies hadn't been thought of. The one thing that we had thought of before is waiting until we actually had an active plan that could actually work, instead of just going in there to try to annihilate him without a well thought out plan, because there's nothing well thought out about this plan at all. There was nothing wrong with them taking some time, because Villa would have just settled down. He wouldn't have been expecting them, and they could have annihilated him by just waiting a little while before they went in. The fact that they felt pressured, that Wilson felt pressured to make an immediate response because of the deaths of the Americans, and that he played right into their hands. The only one who won in this situation was Villa. He got the attention, he got more clout, he got more people to believe how clever he is and strategic he is, because it was a Nat against the B-52, and the Nat won. Because no matter how prestigious a B-52 is, it could never possibly aim a bomb or do anything to a gnat. A gnat is always going to be able to get away with it. It just
Oh,
has to. You know what I'm saying? It's like
y-
it was. He just.
Jinx is actually right. There were rangers. There were
I know.
rangers.
Yeah, see,
Um,
I wasn't going to correct you because I'm not as good at history as you, but I could have swore there were better ways because I've read of better ways that they could have handled these. Like even Wilson said, there were better ways that could have handled it. And even Wilson admitted to buckling under the pressure of an immediate response when an immediate response uh, wasn't really necessary. It wasn't going to accomplish anything.
I think under
And
the
here's another thing.
circumstance,
Under the circumstances, the support of Carranza in Mexico could have been thwarted with sanctions, and they're going to want to deal with the United States. Okay. And they're going to choose actual, their country's best interest as far as trade, negotiations, and support over Pancho Villa. Had it been pressed that way, it's like there's nothing that's going to make me convinced that that wouldn't work because they all think he's great, but he's a gnat. Nobody chooses the gnat when faced with the United States in your face that you're going to have repercussions for supporting this guy. There were so many other things they could have done. Like you can't convince me that violence was the only thing on the table. Okay. The way that Wilson handled this was all ego and all emotional, and it made the whole response look ridiculous. They made it a mockery of a powerful nation against the net. It did. It was the wrong play. You have to admit that it was the wrong play.
well, of course it was the wrong play, but hindsight's 2020. I would say in the situation that they were in, it makes perfect sense that he would have wanted to go in guns blazing because, as the story said, he has ridiculous amounts of pressure from nearly every single side telling him that he needs to, otherwise he's going to lose favor with not just his
Okay.
constituents but also the country.
Okay, but let's just use some of the other laws to support a better response. Number one, taking his time to think this through should have been the first thing, which he admits he didn't even do.
Absolutely.
Number two, you look stronger and actually more intelligent and worthy of the respect of other nations when you make Mexico and Carranza handle their own problem. When you make it their problem, that this gnat is in your face, and you say, I don't like this gnat in my face. Take care of your gnat, people, before we have to. That would have gave him time, okay, to actually make a more better reconnaissance plan to actually take Villa out. It would have showed might. It would have showed respect. It would have been acting like the country that we are, okay, instead of like, you kicked my puppy. I'm going to beat you to a pulp. And then they run away and you can't find them and you can't beat nothing to a pulp. And you look like an idiot.
The problem though is that he didn't the option had already been chosen, that it was already that was already their problem. He came in and killed 15, was it 15 people?
Yes, but
15.
we could have easily made the country pay for that instead of the man. We do it all the time. We make it their problem and they handle it for us because it is their problem. It happened on their soil, and if they're giving him the
No.
nod of approval, that means they did it. Oh yeah, that's how it goes. Those are diplomatic negotiations, and you know it.
It was the US's problem. He went into the US and killed people in the US. It becomes the US's problem.
Yes, they
That
were
is the US's
Americans.
problem.
Yeah, because they were American citizens. But he has the support, you said, of Mexico at the time. So I think the smarter move is make it their problem. So I have time to decide how I want to solve. I still think we needed to do a response in our own name, but I'm definitely not going to let another country that supports him get away with it. It's a bigger issue than just Poncho. Poncho's a gnat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I know you don't like we don't usually
Well,
get into what disagree about the examples that he's using. I just think that this was a good example on how, because it is the transgression, it's how the law failed because you didn't actually use the law. And Wilson did not use the law here at all.
well, he had no choice.
No, I
He
think he
couldn't. He
did.
couldn't have not
No,
used it.
you always have a choice.
Not in this case. No, he
I,
had too much pressure coming at him from all sides for him to be able to actually take things at a much steadier pace.
well, then he didn't take the time, and he earned the big L that he's walking around with on his head.
Oh, absolutely. But hindsight's 2020, of course.
I'm just saying, it's just a very male response. I'm going to call you on it. I don't think violence was the answer here. Not immediate violence, anyway. I do think I have no problem throwing the hammer down, but I think there was a smarter solution first. This should have been tried first. I think it would have been much more strategic to get other people involved to start to help us with this problem, and to make it their problem, make them see how we're going to look at it if they don't assist, because they had the ability to capture him on their own land. He went back to there, right? They had the ability to capture him for us.
They did, but they wouldn't have because they liked
They
him.
would. No, what they would have if it affected negotiations with the United States. If the United States came forward, there's nothing that tells me they wouldn't
Negotiating what, though?
trade anything, because they were in no condition to go against the United States either.
Yeah.
So you make it their problem. You
But
don't
they
have to
weren't gonna do
negotiate
anything.
friendly. You don't know that. They didn't
The country
negotiate it.
The country ended up liking the Villa
When a
for what he
country
did.
loses trade and money and ability for monetary gain for their own people, do you think they're gonna pick one man over the good of their own country? I don't think so.
No,
They
they'd
could
probably
like
just
him all
end
they
up
want.
blaming
Listen,
America.
many countries have liked their representatives and still put a knife in their back when it came to push come to shove. So they could like him all they want. He was a great story. But what he does for the country, if he becomes a problem, he's a problem. So the job of the United States was to show Mexico and Carranza that they had a problem, that this was a problem. And once it's framed in that way, then they have to act. It doesn't matter that they supported him, because they don't have to support him continually. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are better ways to handle it. And I'm sorry, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm a really good strategist. Like, I think my way was a better way. Sorry. Not sorry.
It is a better way. But hindsight's 2020 in this respect.
And you have to admit that Wilson acted with ego and emotion.
He acted how he had to.
And if I approached the problem with ego and emotion, you would be counseling me to take a moment, wouldn't you?
Yes, but it wouldn't.
So why not Wilson?
Having an entire
Why not
country
Wilson?
at your throat.
That's when it's even more important. Like, it's not because somebody called me a bad name and you're telling me, like, don't let your ego and emotion, like, be your response. When the whole country is at risk, damn well that is when Wilson should have not let his ego and his emotion be his first response. Because he had the whole country to take care of, not just some name calling little twat on the other side of YouTube. Okay, like, you see, so if you would counsel me to take a breath, why not Wilson? Like, I don't get that. I don't get that at all. You can't go with that seriously. Seriously.
Well, from the situation that it seemed like for him, he had no choice but to act as quickly as he possibly could, because he also had to actually take advantage of any time that he had to actually go after Villa, because the longer you left it, the further Villa was going to get away.
Mm-hmm. Well, he can't go far. He's gonna be either in the United States or Mexico. But he was still retrievable in Mexico if they did it right. My point is, when you
Mexico's
feel,
huge.
would you grant me this? When you feel like there's no choice, that is when you should take a breath. That is the
Yes.
optimal moment to take time.
I've never not said yes. I've agreed, yes.
Well,
I'm
Wilson
just
didn't
saying,
do
in
that.
this situation, he really had no choice.
I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't even think he agrees. I don't even think Wilson agreed afterwards.
Well, as I said, hindsight's 2020. I don't believe that they saw any other option at the time.
Well, hopefully they learn better way to do it, because there was some bull. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But anyway, would you like to read the interpretation? And then we'll stop arguing about like Pancho. We'll just agree that Pancho Villa was an ass and he got a lot out of this. He is now
Absolutely.
legendary. Everybody knows the story of Pancho Villa, and he is legendary. And he's not a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's legendary now. He's a thieving Robin Hood nuisance to both countries for all the support. But even Americans started supporting Pancho Villa because he bested this huge army.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's kind of sad. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so the interpretation. Woodrow Wilson organized the punitive expedition as a show of force. He would teach Pancho Villa a lesson and in the process show the world that no one, large or small, could attack the mighty United States and get away with it. The expedition would be over in a few weeks, and Villa would be forgotten. That was not how it played out. The longer the expedition took, the more it focused attention on the Americans' incompetence and on Villa's cleverness. Soon what was forgotten was not Villa, but the raid that had started it all. As a minor annoyance became an international embarrassment, and the enraged Americans dispatched more troops. The imbalance between the size of the pursuer and the size of the pursued, who still managed to stay free, made the affair a joke. And in the end, this white elephant of an army had to lumber out of Mexico, humiliated. The punitive expedition did the opposite of what it set out to do. It left Villa not only free, but more popular than ever. What could Wilson have done differently? He could have pressured the Khazar government to catch Villa for him. Alternatively, since many Mexicans had tired of Villa before the punitive expedition began, he could have worked quietly with them and won their support for a much smaller raid to capture the bandit. He could have organized a trap on the American side of the border, anticipating the next raid, or he could have ignored the matter altogether, for the time being, waiting for the Mexicans themselves to do away with Villa of their own accord. Remember, you choose to let things bother you. You can just as easily choose not to notice the irritating offender, to consider the matter trivial and unworthy of your interest. That is the powerful move. What you do not react to cannot drag you down in a futile engagement. Your pride is not involved. The best lesson you can teach an irritating gnat is to consign it to oblivion by ignoring it. If it is impossible to ignore, Pancho Villa had in fact killed American citizens. Then conspire in secret to do away with it. but never inadvertently draw attention to the bothersome insect that will go away or die on its own. If you waste time and energy in such an entanglement, it is your own fault. Learn to play the card of disdain and then turn your back on what cannot harm you in the long run. That does, it would have harmed him though. It absolutely would have harmed him if he ignored it.
I I don't think
People would have
ignoring it. I don't think ignoring
if
it
he
is something
didn't
that would have happened. Yeah.
if he didn't pay it enough attention, it clearly already went around America and gave them and gave it enough like legs to make the American people really irate about it.
I understand that, but all of the other suggestions, besides ignoring it, because I also agree that Wilson could not have ignored it. But every other option listed there should have been in consideration from the start. He's the president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Take a moment to consider all the options before your ego and the pressure gets to you and you have an emotional response. Yes, it needed to be responded to, but there was many other choices besides what he did. And I don't think he took the time to consider all the other options because, like I said, even though you said that he had the Mexican support, there were plenty of people that didn't support him. He was a nuisance everywhere he went. People were getting tired of him. We could have easily got Mexico and Carranza to help take care of this situation for us, even if it meant just turning him over to us and
Actually,
making him
said
pay for the American lives that he, yeah.
it actually said I think if I remember what it said after the was it the Mexican people found out about his thing over to America, they started to admire him more.
No, the Americans did when it said that the
Um,
Americans did when he was avoiding the larger troops. It
no, it was
actually, he
before
was,
that.
yeah. No, he did have a part of
Um,
them. It was a part of them that did support him. That is true. But there's also the government of those countries was absolutely not in support of him at the time. So that's why I keep saying negotiation was an option. And even if they did support him as a larger country that could do harm to Mexico and Canada, like, yeah, I think we could have actually forced some negotiations there and demanded they turn him over, make it their problem, get some assistance in helping this. Because
wasn't the
that would have,
mentality back then mainly
yeah,
we
because
don't
that would have,
negotiate with terrorists?
yeah, but he wasn't, we weren't negotiating with him. We were going to take care of have the country take care of it. We're not negotiating with, nobody, I didn't say anything about negotiating with Villa. There's no way I would advocate for negotiating with a terrorist like Pancho Villa. No way. But there are better ways to solve it. That's all I've been saying. Like there were more options on the table than what Wilson did. And Wilson ended up like Amber is saying, it actually made Wilson look so bad that his opponents can actually point to this over and over and over again. It's just bad judgment because although you're saying he didn't really have a choice, yes he did. Like we all do, Rekkr, when faced with a situation like this. When someone is demanding our attention, we have a choice how much we will give them.
No, that is true.
Yeah. And I don't mean to make it sound like a lecture, but I strongly believe that Wilson made a serious mistake here. And the mistake was not giving himself time to choose the best option. Time was his mistake. He felt pressure and he buckled under it. And that's something he's going to have to live with. Not only did it make the country look bad, it made him look bad. And his opponents used it to the best against him. And rightly so. I mean, you have to admit, the guy was a gnat.
Not really. He killed 15 people.
Okay, this is
He
the
was strong
United States.
enough to invade an American state and do some damage.
That's 15 people, and I don't want to make light of it. That's terrible. But this is the United States. That happens every day here.
Yeah, but that was an outside force, wasn't it?
No, this is the Wild
It's
West back then. Like, this it was
mm,
crazy. No, I would, like, there was an outside force, yes, but I mean, it's not. Okay. I guess maybe I've got a worldview here that's a little bit jaded. Well, it wasn't thousands. And yes, 15 is a lot, and every American life is sacred, and we must protect them. I get that. But a 123,000 troops that couldn't get one man and his little bedraggled little army
oh
of
yeah, that's
bandits.
hilarious.
Okay, come on. Okay, like, really? I mean, yeah, just a bad call.
Mm-hmm.
Some Red Dead Redemption, exactly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we
It is very much Red Dead Redemption type stuff.
and Jen was right. We did have options because we have always used these kind of things. Like, even then, like, it wasn't like, maybe we didn't have like Black Ops Descent in there, but we had something similar that we could have done. The United States has always worked on stuff like that. Always concentrated on our might, and sometimes you just got to think things through, because like that is always going to be the way you protect your own power. Wilson gave away all his power to the other side. The only one who had any power in this situation in the end was Pancho Villa. It's like, it's a perfect transgression story, actually. I don't know. I'll leave it up to the chat. Okay, should I do a poll? Let's see. Or have you had enough of this?
No, you could poll it if you want. I still think Wilson really didn't have any options because even as the story said, his advisors were urging him to send troops in. Like literally everyone around him was telling him to do stuff, to send troops in, to show force. I think if he had tried to wait, people would have started to say, "Oh, look, he let him get away."
Okay. I'm just going to say, is Via a good example of failing to use Law 36? So that means, like, is this a good example of failure to actually protect your own personal power, or to take a moment before responding, so to speak?
In a
You
way,
know?
yes, but I think the example it's not good because there wasn't really an option that he could take at the time without making himself look weak and making more of not just the people around him but even the American public see him as weak.
Mm-hmm. But the American public and our own government saw Wilson in his expedition as weak and a failure. American people started to side with Villa at the end, even when 15 did. And that's something. So Ember's very diplomatic here. She said it's the right tool for the job situation. Rekkr is correct that this isn't a great example for this law. But Claire is right that attempting a defense and failing is giving up power to the enemy.
Oh
True.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Right.
I wouldn't deny that.
Yeah. And I would say that neither one of us wanted to be Wilson in this situation, did we? No.
Oh hell no. I
No.
I no, here's the thing. I honestly don't think anyone would have made a different decision. No, because just
I
because
do.
of
I do. I do.
no.
I do. You think Barack Obama would have sent in 123,000 people to chase a gnat?
His advisors wouldn't be doing that.
No,
And I
Barack
guarantee you,
Obama. No,
it,
because Barack
actually, no,
Obama had
if
to
his,
deal with Hassan, had to deal with Osama bin Laden, and he took the time. Okay,
that was a
yeah,
mission
come
that
on.
had been going
And
on
that
for
wasn't
years. No,
15 days. That was
no, that doesn't work.
33,700.
No,
Yes, it does. It went on
that's
for years
that.
before they got him. Yes.
Yeah, that is an entirely different. Actually, no, that's another example of that because 20 years was it
It's not 20
in
years.
Afghanistan? Was it? Was that it?
Yeah, but that was not just fighting him, but other terroristic groups at the same time. And that was
Exactly.
that was them asking us to do it too. It's not like we were there like uninvited to help get rid of a problem. We were invited there to help with that problem. So no, this was a hard. Just because it took us a long time to extradite, I'm just talking about they didn't go around willy-nilly just blowing everything up in sight to try to get Osama bin Laden, did they?
Didn't you guys level like 12 mountains or something?
Yeah, but there were terrorists in there. Just not Bin Laden.
Well, technically, you can't really prove it because they're
No, wait a minute.
obliterated, but you know.
But no, come on, Rekkr. Think about the situation. These terroristic groups were joining and popping up everywhere. Like there was a new one every other day. Like, come on. Like, it wasn't just him.
That's why I'm saying this. It's not a good example to compare it with this situation.
It is because
with the situation with Villa.
He was the one that was linked to the towers, and that's a lot more deaths than the 15 that Villa is like got 100 like this big response. Like, yeah. I just my
I
point
guess,
is
no, and
you're not gonna
hang on, wait,
me.
stop, hang on, wait.
Okay.
I'm just about to agree with you in a sense,
Okay.
because I can imagine that back then, 15 a external force coming in and killing actually 17 soldiers and citizens could be perceived as just as dramatic and just as just as effective on the American people as the Twin Towers. But I mean, obviously it's not, but proportionately America wasn't as big as it was in 2001. And bin Laden was taken out by a single SEAL team.
My point
Yes.
exactly. You know, in Ember's right also, the US deals with stuff like this all the time, and we do it like with the cartels and all, and we do it with ops, and we do it behind the scenes in police action. We get others to help us with the problem. There are better ways. And that's the whole point of it. And there's nothing that you
But
can
this
say
is-
that won't convince me that had Barack Obama been the man instead of Woodrow Wilson, you're not going to tell me Barack Obama wouldn't take the time to think of a better plan.
With the amount of pressure from all of the advisors around him.
Are you going to
and
tell
the
me
people-
that Barack Obama
Yeah.
didn't have pressure?
Not the same way. No, not the same way.
Can you look at that man in
Barack
his
Obama would have
presidency
had
I think he could have handled the pressure. I think he's that man. I think his shoulders are that big. I think he would not have let ego lead the way. I watched him for 4 years put up with more shit that he didn't even have to. Oh,
yes, but he
there's no
had
way.
advisors that were on his side as well. According to the story, Woodrow, all of his, or at least most of his advisors, were telling him to do something.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. But in any group, it doesn't matter if you're getting advice from a bunch of people. But if you're the one making the decision, where does that decision lie? And
no, Wilson's
the
advisors.
actual where does the actual repercussions of that decision lie? On the advisors or on the man?
Well, it ultimately lands on the man, but
Then I don't want to
he
hear
had to.
about he buckled under the pressure of his advisors. Like he ran with
It
ego
wasn't
and
just as
emotion.
advisors. It
Yeah,
wasn't
well,
just as advisors though. It was the American people as well.
that's
This
the
wasn't just
pressure
a
of.
single.
Okay, I still say that the man had a choice. This is the issue you don't want to hear. That man had a choice, and he made the
He did
wrong
have a
one.
choice.
Right. Well, you're not letting me say that. He made the wrong choice. He had the choice. I don't want to hear excuses. That was his responsibility. He was the president of the United States. And even if it's just you or I in the same kind of a situation, we have a choice. And I'm not going to let the passing of the buck for giving your power away to somebody else without you taking accountability that you did that. Now, Wilson did that. He gave the
Yes, she did.
power to the other side. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why it's a transgression. Because whenever we face a situation, the simple part of this lesson is whenever we face a situation where somebody's coming at us, however big or small, we have to take the accountability of our response to it. It's no
Absolutely.
longer it's no longer about what they did. It's no longer about how horrible they are or why they're doing it or what they're doing or whether it's right or wrong. We own our responsibility. We own the accountability of how we react in what we do about it. Period.
Mm-hmm.
This the transgression. That's why it's a good example.
No.
Wilson had to own this. He definitely had to own it.
Well, yeah, because he was the American president at the time, but
Okay,
with all
why
of
is it not a good example if the law is about taking accountability for giving our power away, and in this situation Wilson gave the power away 100% to the other side? Why is that not a good transgression of the law when it actually proves what happens when you give the power away?
because he didn't really have any other choice. He did in a literal sense, yes, but with the amount of pressure and the people around him actually pushing him to do that, I don't think anyone would have made a different choice.
Did Wilson make the
Not with
choice? It's still a transgression no matter who made the choice. Did Wilson make the choice?
yes.
Is Wilson responsible for that choice?
Ultimately, yes.
Does he not have to take accountability for how he reacted in this situation?
Yes.
Why is it not a transgression of the law then?
Because the situation that he was in didn't
Because
really give
because
him.
you feel empathy for the difficult situation he was in, but it doesn't give him a pass for a bad decision. It doesn't give him a pass that he has to take accountability for that decision. It was his, right? Just like you or me, if we make a bad choice, we have to take responsibility for it. You're giving him a pass because of pressure in a situation, but there are no passes, is what I'm trying to express here. There are no passes to be given if you don't take accountability for yourself and the choices that you make. Do you see what I'm trying to say here?
Yes.
You can't give yourself that pass, Rekkr, because you know what the enemy does when you give yourself that pass? They use it against you, and they'll come for you
Mm-hmm.
again, even more successfully the second time. You've got to protect yourself. You are in charge of how much power you give the situation. So was Wilson. I'm not giving him a pass for it.
Actually, he was kind of more. Actually, he was beholden to everyone around him as well.
It was his responsibility. And you know what? Wilson
Actually,
took more
no,
responsibility for this than you're actually
that's
allowing
that's a
him to.
point. Well, does does the president have to have everyone to I forgot what I was going to say. God damn it. Is he beholden to everyone around him?
He's responsible for his actions and he should take everyone's best interest into consideration, but he does not have to do what they say. No. That's why he's the president.
Mm-hmm.
He should follow the laws of the land. He's obligated to set an example for the laws of the land in procedure. But even if his military advisors are telling
that
him,
was the right.
hey, listen, if you got some hotshot military guy who's saying push the button, is it not his responsibility to decide whether to push the button or not? Are you going to give him a free pass? No.
Shouldn't you listen to experts, though?
Listen.
Do you agree that? Hang on, no. Do you agree that you should listen to experts?
You should take in information from all sources. Yes.
So you should listen to experts.
But the decision is still his. I'm not giving him a pass. The decision was his.
He was being advised not just by experts, but the people around him that went all the way down to the citizens.
Whose decision was it?
It is his, but I think a president should listen to the experts. There is no but.
I didn't say he shouldn't, but he bears the brunt of his decision. Period.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how many advisors said this, that, or the other thing. He chose the mission. He chose what they went forward with. It was his decision. He takes accountability for that. He's responsible for that. He gave the power away. All those other people advised it too, and they've got to take their own accountability for their decisions or their advice to him, but that's a separate issue. Wilson does not get a free pass because somebody whispered in his ear that this is what you should do. If he buckled under the pressure of that, that's on him. He knows he has to take the brunt. Do you think Wilson was walking around going, not my bad, man, so-and-so said to do it? He did not. He took accountability for it. Bad choice.
Yeah.
He's not. You're sticking up for him more than he stuck up for him. I can tell you that. You're actually
I don't think anyone would have made a different choice.
But it doesn't matter if anybody would or wouldn't. He still takes responsibility for it, just like we all have to, which is the lesson. See, I'm sticking to the law. There are no, and you know what? It's fascinating to me because when it comes to this law, you're more of a stickler about it than I am. Actually.
No. The law is perfectly fine. I'm just saying the example is bad because it's not really a situation where he had much of a choice.
But he still has to take responsibility for the choice that he made.
Yes, he does.
And the outcome was giving the power away to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Which fits the law perfectly. It fits them. It fits it. Let's go to the other one.
Okay.
Let's go to the very pleasant Henry VIII. It's like, my God, it's 7:30 already, and we're only on the transgressions. I don't know about this. Okay, so Woodrow Wilson, I feel for you, and you've got a friend in Rekkr, he feels for you too. But anyway, so observance of the law. In the year 1527, King Henry VIII of England decided he had to find a way to get rid of his wife, Catherine of Aragon. Catherine had failed to produce a son, a male heir who would ensure the continuance of his dynasty. And Henry thought he knew why, because he had read in the Bible the passage, and if a man shall take his brother's wife, It is an unclean thing. He hath uncovered his brother's nakedness, and they shall be childless. Before marrying Henry, Catherine had married his older brother Arthur, but Arthur had died 5 months later. Henry had waited an appropriate time, then had married his brother's widow. Catherine was the daughter of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain, and by marrying her, Henry had kept alive a valuable alliance. Now, however, Catherine had to assure him that her brief marriage with Arthur had never been consummated. Otherwise, Henry would view their relationship as incestuous, and their marriage as null and void. Catherine insisted that she had remained a virgin through her marriage to Arthur, and Pope Clement VII supported her by giving his blessing to the union, which he could not have done had he considered it incestuous. Yet after years of marriage to Henry, Catherine had failed to produce a son, and in the early 1520s she had entered menopause. To the king, this could only mean one thing. She had lied about her virginity. Their union was incestuous, and God had punished them. There was another reason why Henry wanted to get rid of Catherine, because he had fallen in love with a younger woman, Anne Boleyn. Not only was he in love with her, but if he married her, he could still hope to sire a legitimate son. The marriage to Catherine had to be annulled. For this, however, Henry had to apply to the Vatican, but Pope Clement would never annul the marriage. By the summer of 1527, rumors spread throughout Europe that Henry was about to attempt the impossible, to annul his marriage against Pope Clement's wishes. Catherine would never abdicate, let alone voluntarily enter a nunnery, as Henry had urged her. But Henry had his own strategy. He stopped sleeping in the same bed with Catherine, since he considered her his sister-in-law, not his lawful wife. He insisted on calling her Princess Dowager of Wales, her title as Arthur's widow. And finally, in 1531, he banished her from court and shipped her off to a distant castle. The Pope ordered him to return her to court on pain of excommunication, the most severe penalty a Catholic could suffer. Henry not only ignored this threat, he insisted that his marriage to Catherine had been dissolved, and in 1533 he married Anne Boleyn. Clement refused to recognize the marriage, but Henry did not care. He no longer recognized the Pope's authority and proceeded to break with the Roman Catholic Church, establishing the Church of England in its stead, with the king as the head of the new church. And so, not surprisingly, the newly formed Church of England proclaimed Anne Boleyn England's rightful queen. The Pope tried every threat in the book, but nothing worked. Henry simply ignored him. Clement fumed. No one had ever treated him so contemptuously. Henry had humiliated him, and he had no power of recourse. Even excommunication, which he constantly threatened but never carried out, would no longer matter. Catherine, too, felt the devastating sting of Henry's disdain. She tried to fight back, but in appealing to Henry, her words fell on deaf ears, and soon they fell on no one's. Isolated from court, ignored by the king, mad with anger and frustration, Catherine slowly deteriorated and finally died in January of 1536 from a cancerous tumor of the heart.
Brutal.
But it's like, I'll excommunicate you. I don't care. I'll start my own church. What do I care?
What?
What?
Are you talking to me?
Care?
What?
What are you? What do I care? I'm the king. Like you're a pope over there. Like what do I care? Like he was just like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and he just ignored it.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't anything they could do. Interpretation. When you pay attention to a person, the two of you become partners of sorts. each moving in step to the actions and reactions of the other. In the process, you lose your initiative. It is a dynamic of all interactions. By acknowledging other people, even if only to fight with them, you open yourself to their influence. Had Henry locked horns with Catherine, he would have found himself mired in endless arguments that would have weakened his resolve and eventually worn him down. Catherine was a strong, stubborn woman. Had he set out to convince Pope Clement to change his verdict on the marriage's validity or tried to compromise and negotiate with him, he would have gotten bogged down in Clement's favorite tactic, playing for time, promising flexibility, but actually getting what popes always got, their way. Henry would have none of this. He played a devastating power game, total disdain. By ignoring people, you cancel them out. This unsettles and infuriates them. But since they have no dealings with you, there is nothing they can do. This is the offensive aspect of the law. Playing the card of contempt is immensely powerful, for it lets you determine the conditions of the conflict. The war is waged on your terms. This is the ultimate power pose. You are the king, and you ignore what offends you. Watch how this tactic infuriates people. Half of what they do is to get your attention, and when you withhold it from them, they flounder in frustration. That was a good observation of the law.
That is an excellent observation of the law. That's a good example. That's a really good example.
It is a very one. Yep. Oh. Mrs. Cassandra's like, anyway, what's next? We're an hour and a half in now. Like, you just start. You know,
good point.
Just,
I hope everyone's strapped in.
Yes, it's strapped in. Like, yeah, I don't think we're going to finish everything with this one. Like, but yeah, I'm going to. You know what? I'm going to skip right over to the. Okay, wait. First, Jin. Definitely do not listen to fools like the current cabinet. Absolutely.
Oh God, no.
And the irony is that in his youth, Henry had been very pious. He was actually, and he actually pretended to be most of his life, right? He even started this whole church and everything. It was like, I mean, he could have just not started a church. Did he start the church for him or for the people because there needed to be a religion that they followed? I don't understand.
The people, very much. He was thinking so humbly and so caringly, so empathetically to everyone around him that he created his own church so he could control everything himself and make his own decisions. But it was for everyone else, you see.
Yeah, I do hope that they actually can hear the sarcasm in that Kiwi accent of yours. Because if they actually thought you were serious, like, that would be much. Oh my God. Yeah, Henry VIII. Yes, of course. He was all for whatever the people wanted. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. He was never selfish.
No.
He was always empathetic.
Oh my God.
And he always had everyone else's best interests in mind.
Oh, I was holding my breath to see if you were going to have the words kind and considerate come out of your mouth. I would have just like lost it. Just no. Anyway.
No, he was generous.
Okay, yes, he was with how frequently people's heads rolled. He did, like, yes, it
exactly.
It could have been anyone.
Incredibly generous. You get to lose your head. You get to lose your head. You get to lose. Everybody gets to lose their head. The generosity was never ending.
Who he bid and who he wed. Didn't he?
See, he has such love that he couldn't contain it to one person.
Okay, just read the slide. I'm done. You got me. I'm done. Read the slide. Here's fun.
Okay. The tiny wound. It is small but painful and irritating. You try all sorts of medic the
Medicaments.
hell
Just
medic
say medicines. Just yeah. If you
medicines. Yeah, you complain, you scratch, and you pick at the scab. Doctors only make it worse, transforming the tiny wound into a grave matter. If only you had left the wound alone, letting time heal, and freeing yourself of worry.
yeah, if only. Yeah. That's another
Hmm.
of the hindsight is perfect vision. Like, but which is true. Which is true.
And then knowing how to play the card of contempt. It is the most politic kind of revenge. Hang on, let me just make this bigger. For there are many of whom we should have known nothing if their distinguished opponents had taken no notice of them. There is no revenge like oblivion, for it is the entombment of the unworthy in the dust of their own nothingness.
That is the aggression. You just gotta love them.
Balthazar Gracian, incredibly poetic.
I mean, isn't that like a sentence? There is no revenge like oblivion, for it is the
Mm-hmm.
entombing of the unworthy in the dust of their own nothingness.
That's a
Yeah,
bar.
that's a bar. That's exactly what I was thinking. Okay. Ah, we're having too much fun with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the feudal system put a king a level below God. So, from that perspective, he was king by divine right. He was, yes,
Mm-hmm.
definitely was. So, rather than put up a whole bunch of pictures of people, when you talk about this law, you got to talk about situations and scenarios. Like we see people using this law either successfully or unsuccessfully in almost every situation that you can encounter on a daily basis in life. Politicians use it regularly, whether they outwardly attack an opponent and the opponent will may take the high road and just ignore it. Um, Dealing with troll accounts, being baited into conversations they don't want to have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, you got to think clearly, and you have to take responsibility for your reactions. Remember, the only one you can control in these situations is yourself. We see
Exactly.
celebrities with the paparazzi. You see some people who just ignore the paparazzi and just keep carrying on with their day. You see others that attack the camera, get pissed, throw things, and just become the story, you know, by handling it incorrectly. Um,
Was it Charlie Sheen who who like threw hands with the paparazzi?
oh, there's so many of them. I don't know. It could have been. I mean, he had some wild days too, but there was so many of them. Robert Downey Jr., like Mel
That's
Gibson,
right.
everybody. Like Alec Baldwin, oh, a lot. um, there's so many. I mean, there's even female ones who would just like yell at the camera or make it a bigger deal
Mm.
instead of just like care. Well, it is annoying. Like they shouldn't have to put up with it, but they do. It's part of what goes on. Just like we shouldn't have to put up with trolls and hate comments, but it's part of what goes on. Like it's just part of the whole thing, you know.
Yep, it's part of the
And
deal.
the thing is, it's just I'm gonna need the bird in the mop bucket for all this dripping sarcasm. It's like, yeah, it's a lot of tongue in cheek today. we're really doing our well. I wouldn't say we're doing our best, but we're making a moderate effort to hold ourselves together up here. Slight, slightly moderate effort, I would say. Um, as far as modern examples, we see tech CEOs make these decisions all the time on whether or not to deal with the competition. They got a small startup company having a product similar to theirs. Do they pay any attention to it? Do they give them any clout? Do they mention their name? More than likely not. Like, why would they? Why, make them earn it, Um,
Mm-hmm.
even when tagged or targeted, you will not see them respond. And it's probably a wise move, because why give them any more energy than they deserve? Let's see where it goes. The part about the disdain, Green refers to it as the sour grapes technique in the book. And he's talking about when there's something you want to get or attain, a goal, or an award or whatever, and it seems out of your reach, you're not going to get it, to start acting like you don't want it, like it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then you may actually attract it back to yourself. Like, you keep working for it, but you definitely just don't make it a big deal. And one of the examples that he used that we see a lot is like influencers who don't get a brand deal, and they just say, like, well, I don't like that brand anyway, or I don't use that product, or like, make it like it's not really a big deal, even though they really, really wanted it and just lost a lot of money. They try to like shrug it off. But the key is not to look disingenuous when you do it. You have to actually, present it in a genuine kind of way. Otherwise, it people are going to be sitting there going, yeah, right. Stop crying.
Exactly.
Stop crying. Stop crying about it, when I was thinking about it, of course, I could bring this back to true crime very easily with courtroom tactics that are done. We see it very often when objections are made in cross-examination, in direct examination. Like, say during, like, just recently in the Maute trial, we had an expert on the stand, and they were talking about the search warrants for private messages between the victim and her alleged lover, because the defense was trying to make the point that the investigators didn't do a thorough investigation, because this is something that defense attorneys do constantly. Like, they're going to attack the investigation. And so they framed the question to be only a yes or no answer when they asked the investigator if he had sent a separate search warrant for specific work communications between these two people. Now, they worked for government. They worked for the Navy. They were outside contractors for the Navy. So everything with the Navy, as far as the work, was all confidential and held under different restrictions than regular employment, because, government agency and all of that. And so his answer was no, because he did not send a separate. And you would think that the prosecution would have tried to stop that questioning, because it looked very damaging, right? Would you admit it looks damaging that they didn't try to investigate that? But they did not jump up and object. Okay. They waited, and on cross-examination, on redirect rather, they reframed the question to say, you said you didn't ask for those communications. Can you tell us why? They said, no, I said I didn't ask for a separate search warrant. The search warrant was for all the communications through multiple devices and platforms that they communicated with at work. It was all together in one search warrant. It wasn't a separate search warrant, which is what I was asked. So they did request the information, and then in further questioning, it came out that the Navy couldn't actually give them those actually text messages because those accounts had been deleted by the owners of those accounts, and they weren't actually, they were screened and they didn't have anything on them, so they were purged. So they didn't come back with the search warrant. The search warrant had come back like 3 weeks before the trial. So they decided that that was a sufficient answer, that there was nothing to find there. So they didn't they didn't send another search warrant. Well, the prosecution in that case used this law very strategically, because had they jumped up and objected to the question, like, it would have made a focus on the question with the jury. Would you agree? Like, they were like, oh, What don't you want us to hear? Anytime I hear objection,
Absolutely.
your ears perk up. You're like, oh, what's going on? What is it you don't
Mm,
want me to hear? Like, what's going on here? By not objecting, she did not give the defense any power in the situation. She kept all the power to herself to straighten out the situation. It actually gained power in the situation and got the appropriate answer out there in front of the jury that they wanted. It was a great use of this law. Because, of course, you're going to get upset at first at what the defense is trying to do. They're trying to insinuate something that didn't happen. But they played it right, you know.
exactly.
So, can you think of any others?
Um, I did have one.
I know we talked about your favorite one. I shouldn't say you. I should say one of our favorite examples to use over and over again because we had so much fun with it.
Oh,
Do you need a
there
hint?
was who are you thinking of?
Well, when we were talking about it earlier, you had mentioned the timing of everything and the way the power stayed with a certain person during a certain rap beef that
Oh, you
happened.
mean Kendrick?
Yes.
That that's an easy one. I'm trying to avoid picking the easy ones
Oh, okay.
because
Sorry.
otherwise I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah, Kendrick did that.
We did. We said that when it was like, okay, here's another law where Kendrick did that. Kendrick did that. Yes, but he did actually.
um,
He did. He controlled that. He
uh,
controlled the power in that situation.
Johnny Depp is another good example of this law being used perfectly. The way he handled everything and basically um left everything um for like his legal team, and he didn't make any huge sweeping statements or go on the attack for any other reason than through illegal means. With the Amber Heard trial, perfect use of the law, completely ignored her, and he actually no. Here's an even better example using him. He told her she would never look in his eyes again. And
Mm-hmm.
to this day, there is no evidence showing that she ever looked at him in the eyes ever again.
You know, you're right. Like I remember he said that. He was like, "You don't have the power here over me anymore." And he closed the door on it and walked away.
Yep.
And he took care of it legally. And he didn't respond to her personally anymore. And you're right. It's a perfect example of protecting his own personal power, knowing when something is hurting you and that people are dragging you into situations you don't want to be in. And yeah, it's perfect. Perfect example. Very good. That was good. That's good. Clarence has one here. In the UK, we have an example in the UK right now for us calling a by election and ignored by his opponents. Now he might lose his seat to a man with a bin on his head. Might not be a perfect example on reflection. Actually, it is. Like,
Mm,
demanding the attention and then everybody ignores you. Those people doing the ignoring are controlling the power in the situation. They are protecting their personal power. They're saying you're not dragging me into this. This is good. This is good. And this is what you do when people are tagging you into something that you don't want to be in. You know. It is
mm-hmm.
a good example actually. Yeah. I guess I'm going to skip the questions, but they are listed. You know what? I should go back and let them on the screen for a minute if anybody wants to go back and answer them in the comments. Um, but I'm not going to go another hour with these. Unfortunately, I was having a little too much fun. Um,
We were, weren't we?
yes, we could say we. Yes, I don't have to take all the brunt of this myself. We were having a little bit too much fun debating on whether it was a good example or not. It took a lot more time. Like I knew that was going to be an issue. I just didn't think it was going to take that long. It was fun though. Yeah.
It
Right.
was. I hope everyone enjoyed at least a little bit of it.
Yeah, we don't get to debate that often because we're usually on the
No,
same page. So
yeah,
that
we
was
don't
fun.
normally go back and forth.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. And we were acting like an
Yeah.
old married couple. Like that was great. With the difference of there was no stomping, slamming doors, and no frying pans involved. So
No, I didn't have to duck once.
it's pretty good. Pretty
Nor was
good.
there sounds of smashing plates.
No, nothing like that. No, see? Yeah. See, it's true. I can actually have a heated conversation without getting all Jersey. Like, yeah.
Mhm.
There was no threats of violence. There were
No,
no threats.
exactly.
There was no
Although
threats of
you,
violence.
you
I did.
although you're not really the kind to get that violent.
No, I talk a big game, I think, but
Other
I'm not.
people, other people, I have actually had to dodge plates. By the way, people, not from Claire, but from other people who were being belligerent, and I just ignored them. I used this law on them, and they hated it. They absolutely hated it.
They threw plates at you? Oh my gosh. This is a conversation we have to have. I need to hear this story. Really?
Y-
Like you ignored
Well,
them and they got so
the
upset they threw
plate,
plates at you?
plates, shoes. Um, don't worry, they
Wow.
were only heels. I
Oh
think
my. Oh my gosh. It's wow.
the
Okay.
shoe was fine. By the way, the shoe was absolutely fine.
Well, I'm glad you survived. It's nice that you're here with us. Like, because I'm assuming this is something from the past. Because it would have been
Oh
too
yeah,
good
this
if it
was years.
recently
This
happened that
was
you wouldn't have
this
mentioned
was
it.
years and years ago. Like
Yeah. That's that's dramatic. Yeah. No, I did
back in my day.
back back in your day. Before or after you were a farm boy?
It would have been after actually.
Okay. It's like, okay. All right. For the reversal. The You must play the card of contempt with care and delicacy. Most small troubles will vanish on their own if you leave them be, but some will grow and fester unless you attend to them. Ignore a person of inferior stature, and the next time you look, he has become a serious rival, and your contempt has made him vengeful as well. The great princes of Renaissance Italy chose to ignore Caesar Borgia at the outset of his career as a young general in the army of his father, Pope Alexander VI. By the time they paid attention, it was too late. The cub was now a lion, gobbling up chunks of Italy. Often, then, while you show contempt publicly, you will also need to keep an eye on the problem privately, monitoring its status and making sure it goes away. Don't let it become a cancerous cell. Develop the skill of sensing problems when they are still small and taking care of them before they become intractable. Learn to distinguish between the potentially disastrous and the mildly irritating. The nuance that will quietly go away on its own, or the nuisance rather, that will quietly go away on its own. In either case, though, never completely take your eye off it. As long as it is alive, it can smolder and spark into life. This is true. By saying that you make something irrelevant doesn't mean you're not aware of it and you're not still protecting yourself by keeping a distance. You're just not engaging. You're not engaging. Um, and this it sounds simple, but it's not. Like I get that this is one of those laws that's easier said than done. A lot of us have difficulty detaching ourselves emotionally when being personally attacked. And that's human nature. Like that's normal. Like don't beat yourself up about that. That's actually
Hmm.
normal. It takes work to be able to protect ourselves in the way that we need to, especially out here on the internet, in parasocial relationships. But remember that word parasocial. They're not in your real life if it's something that's happening out here. And how much can they really affect you if you don't let it? Like, are they at your house? Are they in your life? Do they have your phone number? Probably not. Are they just some troll on the internet? Who the hell are they? And why should you care? Do you really think that their opinion matters? Are they of such great notoriety, some big account that everybody believes every word they say? Or are they just some really horrible person with too much time on their hands that nobody's listening to? Like, weigh it out before you get yourself engaged in something that's going to cause you grief on a daily basis. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I speak a lot on it because I've been there, done that. I know it's not easy, but it is our responsibility because it is our choice and it is the only thing we have control over. We have control over it, nobody else. So, you know, that's why I like this one so much. A little too much, maybe. But that's our 2 hours. Mrs. Cassandra says,
Yes.
"Other." Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I am ending soon. Mrs. Cassandra, you're only a few minutes ahead of me. Like, it's cool. It's fine. You know. I'm Greek often, Jean, with the plates things and dropping things, but I'm not usually throwing them at anybody. Not with that happening. So just klutzy. You know. That's about it. But on that, less words, Rekkr. I first thank you everybody for being in the chat and keeping this entertaining. We had a great time.
Yes.
Hope we didn't confuse you too much with this. It is a serious
Yep.
law, and it really means a
It
lot.
is.
This law, I use it all the time. Like, it's an important one, even if we were making light of it. But sometimes that's how you have to tackle serious situations with a little bit of humor.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Plus, we were just having a damn good time, like usual. You know, nothing.
Exactly.
So, thank you, everyone. And I hope that you'll join us Wednesday afternoon to talk about power, hopefully in a more serious manner, like, about the philosophy of power, what it is, what it takes, where it comes from, you know, all of that kind of stuff on a little different angle than our series. And we're going to be doing that with Trolley Dave on Wednesday, and Rekkr will be there with us. It'll be at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, well, it'll be a live too, not a video or a premiere. So hopefully you can join us in the chat. So, any last words?
Remember this one thing. If you ignore something enough, it will always go away.
If you ignore it enough, it'll go away?
Yep. Just ignore whatever your issues are. If you ignore them long enough, they'll just go away or change.
Well, this is true. If Henry VIII can ignore the Pope and he vanished, I mean, anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, they're wrong. It's a.m. It's 11 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not p.m. I'm sorry. Did I say p.m.? No. It's definitely in the late morning. Because Dave is from England. So he from the UK. All right. On that, we're going to wrap it up.
Yes.
Oh, they're wrong in the internet. Oh. Okay. Does that mean that the stream is wrong? Do I have it as the wrong time? I'll have to go check. I'll go look. Or the people out here on the internet are wrong. Because that could be true too. But thank you anyway, everyone, for being here. And we'll see. We're going to be here next week.
Absolutely.
Okay, then we'll see you all then.
See you then.
Good night.
See ya.